Ladies and gentlemen, get ready for the ultimate Star Wars Vintage Collection podcast, Wretched Hive, with your host, only One Kenobi.
Hello there, this is only One Kenobi, only one, and it's a really special episode of the Wretched Hive. I've got a really special guest. I've got Tim from Bossk's Bounty here, so really pleased to have you on the show, Tim. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks very much for having me.
It's good to have you. I've got a neighbour with a really loud dog, by the way, so I don't know if you can hear that, but he's a big boy and he's barking his head off right now. But anyway, it's not my dog, so excuse that. But anyway, Tim, there's been a lot going on, as you know, recently. The Barge has been big news, and we might as well start with that, eh? The Barge, we're expecting that in a matter of days. Am I right?
Well, yep, I think I've got my thing from DHL to say that it's coming tomorrow, hopefully. So I'm mega excited about that, obviously.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think with the whole Barge thing, it's like when it got first announced, I was over the moon and I really wanted one. But then, you know, it turned out that obviously the people in the UK and anywhere outside of North America, it turned out, you know, weren't able to get one. So I think I spent the rest of the time on Twitter moaning about it to people. And so to finally, you know, get the chance to get one, albeit through eBay, you know, managed to get one. So, yeah, really happy, really, in the end.
Awesome. I'm the same. I felt bad, obviously, for anybody who didn't get one. I felt privileged to know the news on when to bid for it, because otherwise I wouldn't have got one, you know. To be there online at 7 p.m. was what you had to do. And that's the other thing I was going to mention, the fact that there was only 400, which shocked me, because I swear to God, it was supposed to be 800 or so that were available.
Yeah. So I think what it was, basically, I think they probably produced around 10,000, I would imagine, after, you know, the first 8,000 odd were ordered in America and Canada. And then I think obviously they probably had to wait for the, you know, faulty ones and the ones that were damaged and things like that. I saw a few people got some dodgy ones, you know, with Jabba with 2 right arms and no eyes and that kind of stuff. So they probably had to hold some back, and until they really worked out how many were left. But like you, I thought maybe, you know, 800 to 1,000 they'd be up for grabs. So pretty shocked about the 400. I mean, yeah, unfortunately, there's going to be a lot of people that probably wanted one that, you know, unfortunately have missed out.
I mean, I don't want to guarantee anything, but I've had a few people commenting on my videos saying, you know, I hope to get one and all this. And I've replied, and I've had a little bit of hope in my heart to say, well, you never know, because 400 have gone up this last time. They might do another wave of sales internationally, so there might be a chance for some people. But again, it's nothing you can guarantee, is it, really?
Yeah, I'm not sure, really. I think, you know, with these, we don't really know what happens with these HasLab things. Obviously, that's the first one they've done, and sorry, excuse me.
That's all right.
And, you know, I think when they first announced it, that they said, you know, this is going to be the only way you're going to be able to get it and all this kind of stuff, and the yak face, don't worry, it's going to be completely exclusive to this barge and what have you. No one else is going to be able to get that and all that. So I think if they did do another wave, I think there might be quite a few sort of disappointed people around, you know, like the hardcore collectors that, you know, worry about the value of their items.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, it's a possibility, isn't it? You never know. I mean, you know, they were mad not to make 20,000 of the things, weren't they? Really?
Well, yeah, absolutely. They could have, shifted them all. And if they'd opened it up to international markets and stuff like that, absolutely they would have sold. And the other thing I don't know about is the fact that I'm sure on the boxes it says made in China. So I thought that these things were being made in North America. I don't know if this is just me being a bit naive here. I don't know, man. Do you know much about where they were made and why they weren't international?
I don't know too much. You know, that's going to be pretty expensive to get hold of.
Oh, yeah.
I'm missing a loose woof. So there's quite a few, really, that I'm missing loose, because ultimately, you know, historically, I've only really ever bought one and kept it carded. Yeah. It's only sort of in the last year or so that I've been actively trying to get them all loose as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm going to struggle. I'm going to struggle to fill it to begin with. I've got a couple of Gamma guards that I can go in straight away.
Oh, that's what I need. I need the Gamma in guard.
Kithaba, is it? Kithaba, I think I've got him loose. So is that his name, Kithaba?
Yeah, Kithaba. I think he was the one used to be.
He's on the other skiff, isn't he? So yeah. That's the thing. I've got, you know, I think the ones that I've got aren't necessarily actually on the barge. But obviously I've got the new ones that can go straight in, say Yak Face and Klaatu and what have you.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, I'm glad I've got a Woof and I've got a few others, but yeah, I need a Gamma Ring Guard. And I was just going to use my imagination, to be honest. I was going to disregard if they were on a skiff or not and just have them as part of the entourage, the muscle that Jabba uses.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, the Gamma Guard, I've only really got him recently because of the re-release. So, when they reissued him,
yeah,
I already had the carded one from, back in the day. And because they reissued him, I opened him up. So, I've got, I'm happy to have him loose.
Awesome. And I know you've got, what's he called now? Not Woof, the other guy, Klaatu. You've got one of him loose because I saw your video. But I really need to get hold of him while, strike when the iron's hot or whatever, it's while they're going cheap before they go up, you know what I mean, on the secondary market.
Yeah, well, a load of people are struggling to still get that wave, especially in America. Like, none of the shops have got that wave with Yak
Really?
Face. They're all still peg warming wave 1.
You're joking. That's ridiculous. It's the same over here, though. Like, Wave 1, like, I went into the Entertainer the other day, and not only is it all the Wave 1 stuff that you can get in the Black Series, anyway, like the Kylo Ren and who else now, the Stormtrooper, whatever, but all that wave, they're all battered, and no one's going to pay 15 quid for... I wish I'd taken some pictures now. They're appalling, the condition.
A lot of the comments I get on my videos are from, people in the US saying, how did you get this figure so early? We're still seeing Wave 1. And, some of the other guys' videos that I watch, some American dudes, they do like, haul videos and going around the shop videos and whatever. And, they're just showing Wave 1 just on the pegs and nothing else.
Do you know what I think that is? It must be...
They've only just managed to get the Mimbam Stormtrooper in is it Walmart? We've had him absolutely ages, haven't we?
We have, yeah. I mean, I'm convinced there's a lot of people out there who just love the hunt and the chase of it all, whereas myself, I'd just sooner get them all mint condition or whatever online. But then again, don't you find, Tim, that there's like an element of emptiness though when you get the whole lot delivered? It's like, oh, that's it now, I've got it. And there's like, even when you were getting stuff on eBay, there's an element of excitement, like chasing stuff and waiting for it to come. But that kind of goes out the window when you're buying online.
Yeah, it's taken the fun out of it. I mean, that's why I take regular trips down to the Entertainer still, just have a look at the old Black Series figures that I might have, just in case there's a new one that suddenly appeared, like that Republic Commando. Everyone went nuts over that.
Yeah.
That was... that brings it all back, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. It does. Absolutely. Awesome. So that's all coming up. That's really good stuff. The Barge has been just... I mean, I don't know if we've hit our peak now for the vintage collection, in 2019 and ongoing, because this has got to be the absolute peak of collecting for adult collectors, vintage stuff. It's just an exciting time. I'm sure you agree.
Yeah. I mean, when it got announced, I just thought, if I miss out on that, then... you've been collecting stuff and then you miss out on that grail item, especially with the yak face in it, with the coin on that Power of the Force card. I mean, I know a lot of vintage collectors don't sort of really like those Power of the Force cards, but I love those cards, and because that was sort of like at the height of when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Sort of 1985, I was like 9 years old.
Right.
So I was like seeing those in the shops all the time, collecting the coins. So when I saw that yak face, I was like, I've got to have that. If you're going to collect the vintage collection and then you miss that one, you're going to be absolutely gutted, because every time you go on eBay and you see it for 250, 300 quid, you're just going to, you're never going to be able to get it for that, are you really? If you're going to,
absolutely,
I wouldn't really want to have to pay that much for it, to be honest.
Yeah. Can you clarify something for me, Tim? Because I had a yak face when I was a kid. There's no doubt of that. I definitely had one. Because I always remember looking at him thinking... Well, I knew who he was because I'd seen The Return of the Jedi, and he does appear. But given that I'm in the UK like yourself, would the one I've bought be the one that was on the Power of the Force card with a coin? Because I never remember ever owning a coin. Now, either the coin went missing, or I got it on a different card back. What are your thoughts on that? I don't know, you see.
You might have picked up the Tri-Logo version.
Right, okay.
Which didn't come with the coins. Not sure how many shops managed, got Tri-Logo on. It's a bit like when you get the figures now, isn't it, where you get the bi-logo name pills and some don't. I don't really know which ones are which, to be honest.
Yeah.
It seems the ones in America seem to have the bi-logo.
Yeah,
and then
it
some
is,
of the
isn't it?
European releases don't. But you'd think that the European releases are the ones that would have that. It's a bit odd, really. I don't really know, but I do know that there was two Yak faces originally. The one on the Power of the Force card and the Tri-Logo version.
Yeah. You forget about in the US though. You've got the Spanish-speaking people in the South, obviously, and then you have obviously north of the border, Canada. So that whole the Americas, I suppose, is multilingual.
The French area of Canada, yeah,
exactly.
Maybe that's what it is, yeah.
With the Yak face, though, I always noticed like the old Yak face on eBay, he seemed to be worth a fortune. But anyway, so I obviously had one as a kid, and that's just one of the ones that have gone missing. I'm sorry to say I don't own it any longer. Don't know what ever happened to any of those figures. But hey ho, that's just the way it is, isn't it? But anyway, so yeah, I was going to also ask you, Tim, about your top 5 vintage collection. What's your top 5 wish list for the vintage collection for the future? What would you like to see released?
Okay, well, I'm going to cheat a little bit because I'm going to group a section into my first one because I could just litter the whole top 5, top 10 with these figures. So I want all of the original OT figures that we had back in 78 to 85 released.
Nice.
So that's just, Snaggletooth, Hammerhead, the Atat Driver,
Nice.
Jawa, Bib Fortune, all of those.
Yeah.
I want those. That's just going to be in my section 1 because...
Can I just cut into... I like your style because don't we all want that? I'm with you. Get it done.
I've just mentioned 5 there and that would have been it. So
yeah.
And then that section of your podcast would have been over. So that's my number 1. All of the original figures, get them released. So my number 2 is a Count Dooku.
Nice.
I think it's about time that we had Count Dooku on... I think I'd go for the Attack of the Clones card.
Good man.
Yeah, I just think, again, it's one of, huge character from the prequel trilogy that we're yet to see really on a vintage card. So,
and where is he? I mean, I'm guessing I'm cutting in on you here. I'm sorry, Tim. I apologise for my rudeness, but it's like one of those things. They're obviously keeping back wild cards like Bib Fortuna's another one. That, they're probably just keeping them there and they're just going to shoot you with them and at the right time or whatever, but I just want them now.
Yeah, I do find it weird that it's called the Vintage Collection and, there's still so many figures from the original vintage line that they haven't given us yet. I just find that a bit odd. I know it's hard for them to bring everything out because obviously there's so many, but, I would have possibly got all of those out first and then revisited produced figures for the other films.
Yeah.
But, so Count Dooku.
Yeah, no bigger character than Dooku. Absolutely needed.
Yeah. My next one is Captain Rex.
Great.
So we need him on a vintage card, and if they could just scale down what they've done for the 6-inch version, then I'd be absolutely over the moon with that.
Awesome.
I think a lot of people agree that he's a needed figure, and I've got a soft spot for the clones too. So
brilliant.
Okay, so my third one would be General Merrick from Rogue One.
Nice.
So he's possibly, when he first came on screen when I was watching the film, I just thought, he is original trilogy material. He just looked, the moustache and everything. He looked straight out of the 70s.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I just like the blue outfit and everything. He just looked Star Wars to me. And I think if they brought him out, then it would open up the possibility for a Blue Squadron X-Wing as well.
Awesome.
I think that'd be pretty cool.
Tim, I've got to cut in here in the voice of Alan Partridge. You are absolutely singing for my hymn sheet. Love it. Tim, you've probably seen on my videos, I thought exactly the same as soon as he hit the screen. Merrick. He's just so vintage collection, isn't he? Yeah. I am going to do a video soon about the X-Wing as well myself, because I'd love that to come out. So if that helps prompt any ideas.
And the card back would be him sort of, his face like laughing.
Yeah.
Blowing something up or whatever.
Awesome,
Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Classic
Brilliant.
image of him.
All right then. So that's how many we got. That's 1, 2, 3. That's 4. And so what's your?
Yeah, and my last one, bit of a left field one, this one, but I just love them, and they're only in it for a very short space of time in the Revenge of the Sith. But it's the Galactic Marine.
Let's have a think now.
So I don't know whether they could just maybe repack that. Is it the 30th? Did it come out on the 30th anniversary version? I think it was.
Galactic Marine. Do you mean those airborne troopers?
They're sort of like got like a mauve purple, but they look a bit like a snow trooper.
Oh.
They've got like a mauve sort of skirt thing. They're on the bridge. They kill that Jedi with the I can never say his name.
Ki-Adi-Mundi or whatever his name is.
Ki-Adi-Mundi, that's it. Yeah.
I know the ones you mean. And then when they kind of move, you see their legs, don't you? And they're kind of like slowing themselves down. But they're getting a grip with their feet. Is that the one you mean?
Yeah,
I can't describe it.
Yeah, there's a few of them there. And they've basically got like a snow trooper helmet kind of thing. But they've got like a purple, almost like skirt thing going round.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure there was one for the 30th anniversary card.
Now that's really interesting. So what made you choose them? Obviously, they must have caught your eye, or a favourite of yours.
I just love troopers, and I just think he would, any troopers on vintage style cards, I'm well up for.
Yeah. So
obviously we had the range trooper, which looked awesome, the Mimbam trooper, and they're not really in the films for that long. So again, literally the Galactic. I think they're called Galactic Marines. That's what I call them anyway. They're in the film for about 5 seconds, but I don't know. They just look really cool.
Absolutely.
So I just thought I'd pick something a little bit different.
That is a really good idea, because that's something new, and the people who don't like repacks and all that, although they might potentially repack whatever they've had in the past, but you know what I mean. It's a new idea, that, and also because I kept thinking.
There is one. I'm pretty sure there is one for the 30th anniversary.
Right.
They have brought one out before, or it might have been the Saga line or something like that. But one of your listeners will no doubt tell you.
Yeah.
I don't know. They just look really cool.
Awesome.
So I thought I'd choose him.
I kept thinking about them repacking Neo, whatever his name is, but then again, that's a repack, and that people will go, I don't want that or whatever. But that's a great idea. I love it, and that'll be an awesome card as well. Hey, thanks for that, man. That's a really good. That's to date the best top 5 VC, I reckon, on the show. Yet to be beaten.
And if I was going to pick a few honourable mentions, like we always have to do, then there's I could just list a few that we're
go for it.
Just massively missing. So Watto from Phantom Menace,
nice.
Rio from Solo, Two Tubes, Saw Gerrera. I mean, there's just endless lists. But this is the thing, they can't bring them all out, and they're constantly bringing out new films and new TV shows that. At the end of this year, we'll probably get a few Mandalorian figures and Episode 9, and there just won't be any room for, your peripheral characters from the previous movies.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, that's true. That very true. There's a lot going on, isn't there? A lot to fit in. All right, cool. Well, the other thing, just the last thing we can talk about, Tim, is all that speculation there. It's just sort of like talking about lists like that makes you think about what they could and should do, but. Celebration is coming up, and I don't know a hell of a lot about what's going on, but we can always give it a mention now. But is there to be there's going to be a Hasbro panel there, and do you know anything about what's going to be happening?
Same as you, really. I just know that there is going to be a panel, and obviously if there's a panel, then hopefully we'll get some reveals and what have you. And there is going to be a Q&A session, so no doubt some of the sort of Star Wars news sites are, will be hopefully posing some questions. I think it was Forlom and Zuckus, I think those guys, they actually mentioned on Twitter that if you've got any questions that you want to ask, tweet them and they'll ask the questions for you, hopefully.
Oh, that's quite good then,
but
isn't it?
Apart from that, that's it. That's all I know, really.
Brilliant, and no doubt we're going to get a trailer for Episode 9. I don't know, again, I've not really been following the news on that. And also Mark Hamill, you'd guess that he would go, because the word is that he isn't. But it wouldn't be... It's the one thing I love about Celebration. I don't go to it, obviously. It'd be too much of a... getting over there. But I do love watching the highlights, especially his bits as well. He's so funny.
Yeah. I've been to one Celebration before in London. I think it was 2007 now, I want to say. Not the last one that was in London, but the previous one.
Wow.
And it is a great time. I got Anthony Daniels' autograph and a photo with him and what have you.
Wow.
But yeah, I mean, we'll probably get a trailer for episode 9, and hopefully, the main thing I'm hoping for is a teaser of the Mandalorian, because that's something I'm, particularly excited about.
Awesome. And that's just a TV series, isn't it? That.
Yeah, it's the first sort of, I think it'll be like 10 episode streaming thing, but I don't know. It's got a hint of the OT about it.
Okay, and this is just an extra thing I saw today. Is Rian Johnson still making a trilogy? Because I saw something on Twitter to say that he maybe was, but I thought that he had been scrapped from that. But you just don't know what to believe online. It's the Wild West when it comes to rumours and things.
Yeah, I don't know. If I'm honest, I can't see it happening, but he seems to be the only one that is confirming that it is still happening. Nothing's actually come out, as far as I'm aware, from Lucasfilm or Disney.
Right.
To back up his claims that, I think every time he gets asked, or well, not every time, but occasionally when he gets asked, he says, yep, it's going well, plans are for it to continue and whatever, but I don't know, I think, could you imagine social media when that actually does get confirmed, if it did get confirmed, or it'd be crazy,
exactly. I don't know. I know, yeah. It would, wouldn't it? It wouldn't. I can't see it happening, but anyway, who knows? I've grown to like the Last Jedi a lot. I mean, when I first saw it, I was massively disappointed. I'll be honest. I didn't know what the hell I was watching. I turned to my friend at the point. It just kept getting, kept I was getting battered. And then at the bit when he chucked the saber, I just turned to my friend and I said, "What is this? I mean, are they taking the piss?" And I wasn't going to leave the cinema, but I tell you what, it was close. And then it got...
I felt the same. I've never been to the cinema and seen a Star Wars film where I'm actually being sort of mentally removed from the film, if you like, within the first 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not going to say I don't hate it, but I don't. And it's not the whole Luke Skywalker thing or anything like that people, have the biggest gripes about. It's not the fact that they've ruined my childhood or anything like that. I actually just think parts of the film are bad. The jokes are bad. I think even the biggest supporters of the film still agree that the throwing of the lightsaber, whatever you think of Luke Skywalker in the film, I still don't think he would have done that. He might have just given it her back or something like that. But the way he just nonchalantly throws it over his shoulder, I just thought that was a bit weird. And the whole Leia flying thing, I just thought, parts of the film were badly done. And it's for that reason it's not one of my favourite films. But as I say, I don't hate it. Yeah. And it hasn't ruined my childhood. It doesn't stop me, enjoying the other films or anything like that.
No, I'm with you on that one, because when he chucks the lightsaber, the next scene is the Snoke scene, and I thought that was brilliant, and that kind of pulled me back in, and I was like, this is quite good kind of thing, But yeah, it's an interesting topic to discuss, isn't it? But
there's no doubt it's probably the best looking Star Wars film. I mean, it's beautifully made. There's no doubt about that. I mean, some of the shots are incredible. Yeah. It's just the jokes for me. Yeah. I know, because Star Wars does have funny moments in it, but I just think that they missed the mark on it a little bit. But
absolutely, you mean I'll hold.
I can still watch it without cringing,
Yeah. Sorry, I talked over you, Tim. I was just going to say it's the bit at the beginning with the okay, I'll hold, the Hux thing that didn't quite work for me.
Yeah, that for me is just, if you're going to do that joke, at least time it properly. Yeah. I mean, it's just, I actually. That's probably the biggest point where I felt this film's not going to be for me, and it's just a shame that it's in the first, 3 or 4 or 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Because I just, I was really worried at that point what I was going to sort of be watching.
Yeah. Absolutely. The back to suit as well then followed that, and then it went on to the lightsaber toss. But anyway, we could talk about it all day, really pick it apart. But it's I'm looking forward to episode 9 though. I can't wait to see what he does with it though, to finish it up, and I hope that is something spectacular and we can all be proud of that and ties all loose ends.
I mean, I haven't been sort of that excited for it, to be honest, because it's been it's been a big break since the Solo, since the episode 8.
Yeah.
And but when that poster was revealed recently, whether it is fake or not, that got me buzzing again, because I'm really hoping we see the Knights of Ren and things like that. I'm not really too bothered about we must know Snoke's backstory and all that. I'm not too bothered about that. I just want to see some cool stuff happening on the screen and to find out what happens at the end, really.
Awesome. Yeah, same here. Brilliant. Okay. Do you know what I didn't do at the very beginning? I was going to ask you to tell us a little bit about your background, how long you've been reviewing, and what inspired you to get into reviewing. Obviously, that's a question I can answer already. Obviously, you're a Star Wars fan, but, I mean, aren't we all? But, what is it that kind of got you into YouTube primarily?
Well, basically, it was when Lucasfilm was bought. So what happened was, I think Marvel announced the new Star Wars comics.
Yeah.
And John Tyler Christopher, who's a artist who does the action figure variant covers. So I was basically online looking at these Marvel comics, and I saw the Luke Skywalker one, and obviously it's a vintage style card, and I was like, oh my god, that's amazing, I've got to have that.
Yeah. And
obviously since then there's been a whole collection of them. So that got me back into it, really, and I started a website, and I wanted I called it Bossk's Bounty. He was my favourite bounty hunter and my favourite figure when I was little, and so yeah, that just got me into the YouTube thing. Just sort of was an extension of the website, really.
Yeah.
And I just, I've always been into Star Wars Lego, and I did a few silly reviews of Lego, which I didn't really feel worked. And then obviously the vintage collection came back, and I thought, yep, that's it. So if you look back on my channel, some of my early videos are horrendous, and I'm sure it's the same for everybody. But when I started getting sort of more serious into it, really, was when the Wave 1 came out.
Awesome. Man, your channel is doing so well. It's fantastic. I mean, you've got a wide, range of products you're covering anyway. I'm pretty much just the vintage collection, whereas you're covering everything for everybody, that, especially the 6-inch stuff as well. And there's some good stuff there, but I made a statement recently that I was going to get into it a bit more, but I haven't actually dedicated that much time to it. But some awesome products. So yeah. Yeah,
I've got a bit of a love-hate relationship with the 6-inch line, because when they first came out, I thought, they're not really for me. I'm historically played with the 3.75-inch figures when I was little, back in the early 80s, and that scale's always been my thing. And obviously the vintage collection, just brings all that nostalgia back, doesn't it, with the old vintage cards and what have you, the Kenner cards.
Yes, it does.
But yeah, there was a few figures that came out that, like, when the Dewback was announced and the Gamorrean Guard, I just thought, God, these look incredible. I've got to have them.
Yeah.
And then, you're on that slippery slope after that. But I must admit, I have calmed down buying those recently, because obviously you can't buy everything.
We've got a barge to pay for, Tim. That's the thing.
Exactly. Yeah, I've got a barge to pay for. But yeah, it's just sort of like, I must have that because I've got to review it for my channel. And I think I've sort of got past that now and thought, I'm going to be a bit more selective on the ones that I've bought. So
I see.
Things like the Hand Mud Trooper, I'll be doing a review on him soon, because he's like an unbelievable looking figure.
Yeah.
The General Veers was an unbelievable figure, the Gamorrean Guard. Apart from that, I'm not really, I'm not going to get all of the Black Series figures.
Mm-hmm. Do you know what?
Whereas
that Tarkin
I will get all of the vintage collection figures no doubt every single time.
Absolutely. I'm sorry, Tom, I was talking over you again. I was going to say that Tarkin was really good. I'm kind of gambling on that one. I'd love to see it hit the Entertainer or something like that on, clearance or whatever, but I don't know if it will or not. It's too exclusive, isn't it, really? But that's one I'd love to get.
Kapow Toys have got him for like £9.97 or something.
Check him out. Wow, I'll have to give that a go, maybe. I'll see what the finances are like after the barge clears up.
They've got quite a big Black Series sale. I find that the Black Series, obviously if you're a collector that's worried about value, they're never going to hold their value in my opinion. You've got some of the early ones, but they're mass produced now, and if you get hold of a Holdo, a 6-inch Holdo, it's not gonna hold it. Even the Captain Rexes, you can pick those up for a tenner now.
Yeah. I didn't mind Holdo, you know. I quite like Laura Dern because I've liked her ever since Jurassic Park. But there's a lot of people who don't like her, isn't there? But I love that. You know, they've got this issue of her being like, you know, all the, you know, social justice warrior, whatever. But I love that scene when she says, you know, stick to your post and follow my orders. She's just like the space bitch, you know. It's never been done before in Star Wars. I love it.
I don't mind her as a character. I just don't think it's you know, if it comes out in the vintage collection, obviously I'll buy it.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna go and buy the 6-inch version of Admiral Holdo. I'm gonna save, as I say, I'm saving my 6-inch line for, you know, the really, really good looking figures, and most of them will be from the original trilogy, I'd imagine. Awesome,
yeah, good choice, sir. Good choice. Well, you know, Tim, I think that just about wraps it up. Unless there's anything else you want to tell us or say, then. But it's been great having you on.
I'm all good. That's fine. I'm just pleased to be on.
Yeah, thank you for coming on, man. It's really good to have you on. And just before we finish, if you could just, you know, everyone knows who you are, no doubt. Anyone who's on my channel will know who Bossk's Bounty is. But if you've got any links you can share with us now, that'd be awesome just to finish out, Tim. Thank you.
Any links?
Well, yeah, you know, your Twitter, your Facebook, your whatever. Your website. Oh, right, details.
Sorry, yeah. Well, I'm on Twitter at Bossk's Bounty. I'm on Instagram at Bossk's Bounty. And the website is www.bosksbounty.com. And that's it. And obviously my YouTube channel.
Awesome. And I got to say, I'm very bitter about that, Tim. I have just got back to me again. Alan. I have got only One Kenobi for YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. But sadly, I was too late to get it on Instagram. I can only get Kenobi Only One is my alternative URL. Somebody's already got this. So I was always a bit disappointed with that. But I don't know what point I'm trying to make it, but it sounds to me you've got Bossk's Bounty across the board, which is quite nice, isn't it? To have unity with your URLs and links and stuff. But anyway.
Yeah, well, when I was looking at, you know, names and what have you, I tried to sort of... Obviously, I wanted Bossk in there at some point, and it was just a play on words for me, really, because obviously I knew I was going to be like having a collector's website, collector's channel, and obviously the whole bounty thing. So I thought it all fit really, and luckily for me, no one else had got those names.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
I was going to say, Tim, just before we finish as well, I thought of you the other day when I got my Bossk out again, because I've got all my figures stored away, but when I was looking at figures for the Barge, and it just reminded me yet again how good that figure is. That Bossk figure is awesome, isn't it? They'll never beat that.
Yeah. I think I did a review on it fairly recently, actually.
Did, yeah.
I've got it carded and loose, and well, obviously I've got it loose because it's always in my videos, but yeah, I think if they were ever going to try and improve on that, I don't think they really can, to be honest. It's for a 3.75-inch scale, they've got him absolutely nailed.
Awesome. Awesome.
And yeah, he's my favourite, obviously.
Awesome. Well, it's been so good to have you on, Tim. Thank you so much for your time. And on that note, I shall say thank you very much for listening. This has been Only One Kenobi. Only One. Out.